And Joel Klatt will be calling Texas Tech at Utah this Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox. So I was thinking about this. For years and years, you and I supported Harbaugh. And there was a lot of noise out there. He didn't know what he was doing. And it was like, listen, he won at San Diego, the Niners, Stanford. He's good. Okay, he's good. But it's hard in college football. He was pre-NIL. Most of building was pre-transfer portal. So it takes time. He took over a bad roster. And I look at him now with the Chargers, and I made this argument an hour ago. If the Pro Football Hall of Fame was like the Basketball Hall of Fame, where you counted college, you counted pro, you counted basketball, I could argue Jim Harbaugh is the best football coach the planet's ever had. He's 5 for 5. Think about this, Joel. 5 for 5. And Jimmy Johnson's had successes, but when Jimmy leaves a place, it doesn't disintegrate. Cowboys won a Super Bowl. Canes won a Natty. Miami Dolphins made the playoffs. Is that my argument is Harbaugh's strength is he's not just a great coach. He's the soul of your team. He's so authentic. In my take, all the years you dealt with him, what was your takeaway on Harbaugh? Because no coach, pro and college, has worked at this level. He went to 5 messes. He turned around all of them immediately, and he leaves, and they're all awful the next day.
Yeah.
What is it with him?
So that's a great, and a loaded question and a long answer, because if I was being completely honest with you, I covered 2 different Jim Harbaughs. Almost completely. No, I'm serious. Colin, I'm serious. Pre-COVID, so every time I dealt with him, whether it was, Stanford or with the Niners when in draft process, and then pre-COVID Michigan, he was very standoffish and just like wouldn't let you close. It was almost like pulling teeth just to talk with him. He was rigid against you. He came with a rigidness in the conversation that wouldn't allow really any communication.
Yeah.
And after the COVID year, they struggle. He comes back on, remember that restructured deal at Michigan? And he comes back, and in 2021, he came out and sat for a production meeting with us for 40 minutes. And I was like, what is happening right now? I couldn't believe it. Honest to God, this is exactly what was going on. And he was a totally different person. And he was open and he was authentic. And he talked about things that he struggled with and things that he loved about his team. And it started to become very obvious to me that what Jim did post-COVID wasn't about football. It was about people. And he became much more of a people person, even with all of his quirks. But what never left him was the foundational things that he believed in from a football perspective. I think we're going to see the best version of Jim Harbaugh that we've ever seen now with the Chargers. I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to have success. I think that they're ultimately going to win a Super Bowl because they've got the coach and the quarterback to do it. Maybe not this year, I'm not sure. But at some point with that combination, I think that they're going to win a Super Bowl. And one of the things I would just go a little bit deeper, and I know a little backstory on this. You know the interim coach at Michigan right now, Biff Poggi?
Yeah.
Biff is I don't want to say a character, but he is a guy that rose through the ranks as a high school football coach in Baltimore. And if you've read it, I think that it's great. And if you haven't, there is a book called A Season of Life. And it features Biff as a high school football coach. And he was a coach with an old Baltimore Colt named Joe Ehrman. And these two were great high school football coaches together, and yet they didn't really focus on football. They focused on people and loving on the players and telling the players that they loved them. Well, Biff's son ends up walking on at Michigan, and then Jim hired Biff to come on in 2021. And one of the things that they did is they would meet multiple times a day, and Jim would say hey, this is how I'm feeling, Biff. I really love the way the kids practice. I loved that. And Biff would be like, tell them authentically from your heart. And Biff and those meetings changed Jim Harbaugh into a player's coach with football foundation principles that would win. And so those kids loved him because he told them that he loved them.
Yeah.
So it's a long answer to a very simple question. I dealt with 2 very different Jim Harbaughs, and the one that's coaching right now with the Chargers, I think will win a Super Bowl.
So Jaden Maiava last year for USC, I had friends ask me, what do you think about USC this year? And I said, I really like the roster. I don't know about the quarterback. He just lets go of that ball, and half the time, I'm not sure he knows where it's going. If you doubt Lincoln Riley's coaching, you have not seen this kid play. He's like, not just Harbaugh, he's a different player. Throws the ball away, dirts it, tucks it in. Like, I don't know what they did, but if your quarterback's as good as this kid is, and their defensive line for the first time since Pete Carroll is big and deep, like they spent NIL money on their D-line, they got players. You think I'm crazy, but you take away that goofy touchdown the refs butchered last week, winning road games last year, like, I don't know. I look at this quarterback and I'm like, oh, that feels like a playoff team. Well, they feel like a playoff team.
I felt like I was trying to talk you into this last week, and I feel like you've come around on kind of the blueprint that Lincoln Riley used to be successful at Oklahoma, and I feel like USC is following more of that blueprint this year. They've run it a lot better, even though Jaden Maiava, as you have said, has been terrific. I think it's one of the more underrated teams in the country, personally, right now. I think that their game this weekend against Michigan State is a perfect opportunity to beat what I think is a decent team. And then they're going to have a monster game against Illinois, which is going to be kind of a coming out party for Maiava and this entire program as a reemergence as a power. They are good on defense. I don't know how great they are, but offensively, they're doing the right things. Again, they're running the football with effectiveness and power. Maiava has been one of the best quarterbacks in the country. In fact, on Wednesday's podcast, I broke down and I said, okay, this was my before the year top 10 quarterbacks. Well, this is the top 10 quarterbacks, how they've performed this season. He's on it. He's been one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the country easily, statistically and intangibles. So I'm a believer in USC. I don't know how far they're going to go this year, but I will tell you this. I wouldn't want to play them because they're a scary team right now. There's too much balance.
Yeah. So Brian Kelly pushed back on the media a little bit, and Brian's a lot of work.
Push back is putting it lightly.
Yeah,
right? He had like a meltdown.
Yeah, he had a meltdown, and he had meltdowns for years at Notre Dame with his quarterbacks. And he's just one of those guys. He's got a little bit of a Jim Mora. We know he can coach. He's very intense. He can be rough on quarterbacks. But I always thought Mora could coach, and I think Brian Kelly's a really good coach too. But I think it's funny.
You don't like that?
No, I mean, so where are we?
Oh, you're such a media member.
Well, listen,
no.
I'm not being precious. It's a little over the top, but these college coaches, they run their states, they run the university, they're the highest paid employee.
But hold on, time out. But remember who they represent. You see, I agree. If an NFL coach did that, I would feel very differently than I do about a college coach doing this.
Yeah.
Because, and I told you this last week with Sark. Sark wasn't talking to the media when he defended Arch. He was talking to Arch.
Yeah.
Brian is talking to his locker room. He's defending his group of guys. He's building culture through the media, and the media don't even realize it. They're too narcissistic, and they pump their own tires and think they're so important that they have to get the right answer from Brian Kelly. But Brian Kelly doesn't care what they want to hear. And to be honest, I will say this. I know people disagree with me on this. I also think it's a stupid question. Like, really? After that game, you get 5 interceptions, your defense is fixed. Like their defense was a problem last year, and their defense has been excellent so far this year. And the first question is, what's wrong with your offense? This is the same type of questions Ryan Day gets at Ohio State. It's like a media that is so self-entitled, and I'll borrow a term from him, spoiled, that the answers aren't intended to make the media feel better or feel smarter. The answers are intended to build the locker room and protect the locker room. And that's what I appreciate about college coaches, because they've got to be more aware than that. They don't have, grown men in their locker room. They have young men in their locker room. And so they're more aware of culture. And in more times than not, they'll be talking to their team through the media. And I think that's what he did. And he runs a little hot. So he got that question and he's like, come on, man. Like, really?
He does run a little. I like him, but he runs hot. So, Caleb's struggling in Chicago, and you covered him a lot at SC.
Yeah.
And I had an NFL GM tell me this. I said, I don't care about the fingernails. I don't care about jumping in the crowd. I said the only time I saw him that bothered me, he played at Oregon State his first year, and he got really pouty and moody on the sidelines, and he kind of like went into a shell, and I said, that's bad. I'm like, dude, welcome to big time college football. You lose games and have really bad halves. But the GM told me, he said, kind of moody, can be kind of aloof, a little odd. That's not, quarterbacks tend to, there's a reason the Mannings all work, right? Like Eli and Archie and Peyton. It's like, it's business first, go in, good teammate, bet early. It's like, and I guess my take is, you covered him a lot. Mm-hmm. Did you ever think it would look like this in the pros? Because it's rough.
Well, let's break it down. I think multiple personalities can win Super Bowls at the quarterback position. That's been proven out. So it's not about the personality. And I would push back on you. I think you focus too much on the personality than you do the foundational aspects of quarterback play. Here's what I mean. The issues that USC had offensively with Caleb, in particular late, was that he would not play in the confines of the offense.
Exactly.
And because of that, the offense never went to a place that it could go. So let me put it to you in another analogy. If you're going to take math during the course of your high school or college, like there are prerequisites to get to the higher levels. You've got to pass Algebra 1 before you can go out to Algebra 2, and you got to go to geometry and do all that before you can ever get to calculus and so on and so forth. The issue with Caleb right now is that he struggles with Algebra 1 and wants to play calculus all the time. And there's foundational things that he has to be a part of. He's got to play on time, and the ball has to go to the right spot in the right timing more often than it does right now. He's constantly looking for plays that aren't there. He won't take things that are there right away, what the defense is trying to give him. You have to play on time and on target. And so for me, it's a floor issue. He's not doing the prerequisites, the floor of what he needs to do at quarterback, and he constantly wants to go up to the top of his talent. And you can't go there and impact the game unless you've done these things first. So it doesn't matter actually the personality. You can be aloof. You can yell at guys. You can love on guys. You can wear your hat backwards. You can wear your hat forwards. You can be a partier. You can be a stay-at-home guy. But the prerequisite is that your floor has to pass the minimum bar of the offense's constraints in order for your offense to operate well. And he doesn't do that right now.
By the way, finally, Belichick faces UCF. Nobody watched him after the opener because they just, literally nobody's watching the games. After the first game, what's Belichick done? UCF, I think, is undefeated. I think that's the team he plays next. Let me ask you, for those who stopped paying attention after the debacle, has anything gotten better at Carolina for Belichick?
Yes. The basics. They're blocking better. They're staying on blocks longer. They're getting off blocks quicker on defense. They're aligned quicker. They're aligned more foundationally. They don't turn the football over. So they're not a good or great team yet, but they are clean. They're cleaner than what they played against TCU early. And to expect that team to play clean with 70 new players and a new coach probably was an unrealistic expectation from all of us looking at Bill Belichick and UNC. But every single week, they get a little bit better with the things that they can control. There's an old adage in coaching is that the only thing you have 100% control over is your own effort level. And details within the system and taking care of those details fall under effort level. And what I see is a team that is just cleaner from the effort and detail of the way that they're playing.
Okay, I'll ask you this question. So there's a line out there that therapists often use. Not that I've ever needed one, but
not that you've heard this one. No.
But it is your responsibility to heal the pain others inflict on you. So the bottom line is, get over yourself and get over it. It's still your job, no matter how mean somebody is, how awful they are to you. It's still your responsibility to heal pain inflicted by others. So when quarterbacks are criticized, I'm for it because I think the best quarterbacks in this league all had turbulence. Yeah. And Arch Manning's life is Bronny James' life. What nice road do I get to take to my school today? It's like, those are great lives. I'm not jealous. I don't envy it. But I think Bronny James should have stayed in college one more year. I think Arch Manning, actually, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to him. It's real turbulence. Texas football, receivers are hurt. on his third string running back, new O-line. His mechanics are weird. I'm going to argue this is essential if you can make it on Sundays.
Well, you don't develop in life without turbulence. I mean, I don't think it's even just a specific to quarterback play. I think all of us as people need trials and tribulations in order to develop perseverance. I mean, that's a biblical truth that I believe in, right? So it absolutely applies to Arch. And what a quarterback has to have that's maybe bigger and more substantial than others is that they have to have a complete belief and self-identity that is rooted in things that don't get impacted from the outside. So you're not trying to prove anything to anyone because you're comfortable with who you are. And you're not defined by anybody because you're comfortable with who you are. And that's a learned trait. And that comes with maturity and certainly experience at a position like that. Arch's mechanics are not great right now. He's playing faster than the timing of the offense. That's an offense that is kind of an old school, not old school. They have West Coast offense tentacles. And in the West Coast system, from a football perspective, they go by the equation timing plus spacing equals completions. Well, if you're not getting completions, one of those two variables is off, the timing or the spacing. I watched the film and I think Arch is ahead of the spacing. Therefore, he's rushing. Therefore, the ball tends to, I would say, nosedive and be low or away from wide receivers. He's overstriding. As soon as he can unlock the timing piece of the way that he plays and marry it to the spacing of what they're trying to create on the outside, that's when the completions and the success will start to come.
Joel Klatt, Utah game this weekend. I'll take the Utes. It's a beautiful stadium. Great environment. Beautiful.
Salt Lake is great. I can't wait to get out there. It's always a great environment.
Yep. See you, buddy.
Appreciate you, bud. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.